All right, so this knife thoughts video is going to be on this knife, and this is the Land 140. And so I actually thought that I had already reviewed this knife. I've had it for a while, but I saw that this knife had come back in stock and looked and saw that I hadn't reviewed it. So I wanted to do a review because it does go in and out of stock, it seems. And so this is the perfect time for a review since it is back in stock, specifically on AliExpress. So this Land is kind of a sub-brand of SanRenMu. So SanRenMu is a company that makes knives under their own brand, then also under a brand SRM, or Stay Ready for More, and I believe that they also do some OEM stuff. But the SanRenMu, line of knives is pretty low end, and this Land line of knives, or at least this particular model, is very, very well made, but it's still really budget friendly. So that drew me to it. But really what drew me to it is the fact that it is a very big Framelock knife, titanium Framelock knife. So you can see both sides are titanium, and it's a very large knife, and it is a flipper. So it's a lot of things that I like. I enjoy, larger modern knives, and never hurts to have a titanium Framelock flipper, right? Now, the real interesting thing, being that this is a titanium Framelock flipper, is that it's about $70 on AliExpress. And so you might be wondering, well, is this a copy or a clone or something like that? And as far as I can tell, it's not. There's a lot of different designs of Framelock flippers, titanium Framelock flippers, and I don't think that this is really close enough or even close to any other design to cause concern. So I really like that. I think that it is a great design also. It has a nice classic clip point style blade, nice long clip point blade with a good amount of straight edge and then a good belly and a very usable tip there. Kind of a full length drawn swedge and a nice high grind also. And this blade is VG10, and sometimes people question, is it really the steel that they say it is, when it's coming from an overseas company that people aren't as aware of. But this knife was, I believe, part of the testing that was done by several people, including Love Them Knives here on YouTube and Outpost 76 or 67, one of those. And that testing was really great. It showed both whether or not these knives, these overseas made knives, were the steel that they claimed to be, and also, how hard they were. And if I recall correctly, this knife was shown to be VG10 and, heat treated reasonably. So, you've got that. And then the handle is certainly titanium. It is non-magnetic. It has, it's been scratched up quite a bit from me carrying and using it, but it has a really nice finish. So you can probably see that there. There is a machined finish where it has lines on both sides of the handle here. And it doesn't give it a huge amount of texture, but it just looks good. It looks like a nice working finish, but classy enough. I also really like the handle shape for how it feels in the hand. It is a pretty simple handle. You do have a finger cut out here with some kind of turns to it, but it really just feels good in the hand. I can get a full 4-finger grip without any trouble in this main grip area here. And that's because it is a big knife. So, it is definitely on the larger end. I'll show you in comparison to a couple knives that I just have on my table here. This is a ProTech Godfather, so another very big knife. Then here is a Cold Steel 8010 Light. So this is a not as long a knife, but definitely a hefty knife. So you can see that the Land 140 fits squarely among large knives. It is definitely not what a lot of people would call an EDC size knife, but for me, I really like this size. I think, if you're carrying a modern knife, it's really not that much of a difficult thing to carry a knife this size, particularly when it is pretty thin, being a titanium Framelock with no handle scales. And then when you look at the construction of this knife, it's done really well. So I'm not going to open this knife up, but it does have roller bearings. So instead of balls, it has, you know, cylinders that roll. And I saw on Reddit someone did take it apart and show that, and they kind of had a complaint that there were fewer of those bearings, those roller bearings, than on, you know, some higher end knives. I think that, you know, that's one of those things where, would it be nice if it had more? Maybe, but it's pretty smooth and it's like a $70 knife. So I'm pretty happy with the fact that it has those. I think that it's good on a knife this size because it should theoretically make the pivot a little bit stronger, a little bit more sturdy. And then again, the machining on the handle is really nice looking, and the shaping of the handle in general is well done. You can see that there are facets along the edge, so there's no hard corners, which again helps it to feel good in the hand. The pocket clip is also titanium, milled titanium, and is done really well. It's not super deep carry, but on a knife this size, you know, it's rare to have a super deep carry clip, but it works really well, easy to put in and out of your pocket. And then on the inside, there's a lot of milling. So hopefully you'll be able to see this, maybe. Yeah, right there. There's milling on both sides of the handle. There's quite a bit on the non-lock side. There's a little bit less on the lock side because, you know, you have to, you know, have the lock there. But there is milling on both sides of the handle. And as you can see, there's also a lock bar insert. So a lot of really good things, a lot of really nice features. It flips really well. You know, I've oiled it and I think maybe adjusted it, but it came nice also. It flips nicely. You can see it does drop close to your thumb, but then, you know, you need to shake it a little bit there to get it closed the whole way. But very smooth and very solid, locks up, you know, without any play forward and back or side to side, and just generally really well made. It cuts well also. Now, I don't think that this is the thinnest grind out there, but it certainly cuts well enough for all of the tasks I've used it for, which is, you know, general EDC, cutting boxes, food prep, just kind of things like that, normal things. But I think the real value in this knife is the value. So it is a very large, you know, about 4-inch bladed titanium Framelock flipper with VG10 steel, which I, you know, think is really VG10 and is heat treated well enough. A nice design that's not a copy of any, you know, American design as far as I'm aware of. And it is, I believe, under $70. So just to compare to some similar knives, now I'm not knocking any of these knives. I like all of these knives that I'm going to show, and it's not that I don't think that they're good values. But, you know, if you were to get, let's say, a QSP Penguin, the Penguin Plus in jig titanium, which is, you know, a lot of milling, a lot of machining, but it is $195. You know, you can get it from traditional pocket knives. It does have a better steel M390 and is also made nicely, but a lot more expensive. And then something like the Axial Enzi. Now this is from an American company, but made overseas. Again, better steel, 20 CV steel, but that is, I believe, $170 now. You can get that from Axial Knives, and I actually will have links to all three of these in the description. But $170, so, you know, $100 more. And then, you know, if you were to get an American-made titanium Framelock, which I don't have a full titanium, I do have a ZT, but, you know, here's a Spyderco with a full titanium handle. It would be, you know, probably $200 more at least than the Land 140. Now, of course, there's value in a knife being made in the USA, and again, I am not knocking the value of any of these knives, but I think that, you know, where is your value ratio? And then another good example here is WE knives. So this is actually the Mastrop branded Keen, but it's made by WE knives, and it was a little less expensive than WE knives are now. It was like $160 when I bought it, I believe. But it's a full titanium Framelock flipper. It does have S35 VN steel, so again, a little better steel. But I think that, $160 is not what this would be priced at now. I think that a knife like this from We would be a lot more, $200+ in that range, maybe $170+. So either way, even a knife, designed and made overseas from a different brand would be a lot more. Now, again, I think a lot of people in this, stage of the knife kind of community, or however you want to say it, would maybe scoff at VG10. I don't. I find VG10 to be a perfectly fine steel for real use. I don't see a major difference between it and the super steels, unless I am, cutting endless feet of cardboard or something like that. So for me, I don't even take a second look at VG10 as in, oh no, it's VG10, I don't want it. I think VG10 is a fine steel, even if it wasn't at this price. But I think that for a lot of people, maybe that's one of the detractors. But I think it's a great knife. I have carried and used this knife a lot and really enjoy it. So I saw that it was back in stock and thought that I should definitely have a review on it. So make sure you check out the links in the description. Grab one if you'd like one. I'd love to hear your experiences with it, because this is a sample size of one. I don't know if they are all as well done as mine is. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. Check out my other social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Knife Thoughts, and my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.